John 1:1 does not say, and the Word was God.
This is not true. John 1:1 says exactly that the Logos was Theos, was God.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. And when we look at the Greek clause at the end of John 1:1, we see ke theos είναι logos, which sounds like it's just saying, and the Word was God.
It doesn't sound like it says exactly that the Logos was Theos, God.
But in ancient Greek, there are some problems with this interpretation.
There are no problems in ancient Greek, and there is not a matter of interpretation. The only problem is that you don't like the text, you don't like the elephant, you don't want to see the elephant. Is a plain text.
The noun theos there does not have the definite article, and it is occurring before.
The noun theos doesn't have the definite article because this is how the job is done. The description of the nature of a person is done without using an article. So if we want to describe the Father, the God of Israel, the nature of anything, we don't use an article. So for the Father, the very same text would be opatir in theos, not opatir in o theos. Opatir in theos without article means that by nature the Father is God. We refer to his nature. If we are going to use an article, we are not describing the nature of the Father anymore. We are identifying him.
Or the to be verb in a predicate nominative clause, an X is Y clause. And in the Greek of this time period, if a noun is referring to a specific agent, that is either...
There is no such thing Greek of this time period. Greek is exactly the same back then and today in relation to the article. So to this day, we don't use an article for referring to the nature of the God of Israel. We don't use an article. The same is for the Logos. We don't use an article. This is why there is no article in there. As a matter of fact, the God of Israel, elsewhere in the Bible, in the Greek Bible, is referred to repeatedly without an article. So, what is your other option? If the God of Israel is not Theos, what is the option? Not being Theos?
well known or has already been mentioned in close context, and both of these things would be true of the use of theos in reference to the God of Israel, then it should carry the definite article.
As I explained already, is false. If we are going to refer to the nature of the God of Israel, we should not use a definite article.
Without it, it is most likely being used qualitatively.
Without the article, is not most likely, is definitely used qualitatively in the sense that describes the nature of the person.
In other words, to refer to some quality of the subject of the clause.
It's not a quality. It's not a quality in the general sense. It's a specific thing. So when we say this is a brick, this is a banana, this is a horse, you can name it as a quality, but quality means anything. In here, however, is something very specific. It is a reference to the nature. When you say this is a horse, it refers to the nature. The horse might have many qualities, being fast, being beautiful, but saying is a horse is something very specific, means that by nature is a horse, is an animal. And the Logos could have many qualities, could be merciful, could be strong, but in here we don't have such a general reference. We have a very, very specific thing. It is a mention of the nature of the Logos.
And so here, probably the best interpretation would be, and the Word was deity.
It's not a matter of interpretation, it's a simple text. You don't have the right to corrupt it, remove the word theos and replace it with the word theotita. Remove the message, what it says, being theos, and replace it to being a deity. You don't have the right to do that. It says even an iota, you cannot change it.
Now, a lot of these Greek grammarians who agree with this are then going to go on to say this is obviously distinguishing the persons of the Trinity, the notion that
this is irrelevant. By principle, one should not bring such things into the discussion, and that the three persons are distinct but are one essence. And you are obviously complaining about something irrelevant, so you are also irrelevant to the subject in here. The subject is understanding what the text says. Even your video, this is the title of your video, understanding what the text says. So that whole discussion is irrelevant. It's not advisable to bring that into the discussion. If the condition, the circumstances allow it, okay, you can, but in understanding the text, that is irrelevant, is not necessary.
there are three co-equal, co-eternal, consubstantial persons occupying the one being that is God. But that idea is a much later philosophical framework that...
Exactly. This is why one shouldn't bring these things into the discussion, because you're gonna build it. You want these things in the discussion. You're gonna make it philosophical and this and that. Totally irrelevant thing. You got a simple text. Stick to that. It's not an idea. There is a person in there that is referred to as Logos, and there is a reference to his nature, using the word God. By nature is God, is Theos.
Did not exist anywhere near the time period of the composition of John 1, and so...
Irrelevant. During the time composition of John 1, the text says the Logos is Theos. Stick to it. You are obligated to stick to it. So don't bring philosophy and complain about philosophy. And as a matter of fact, it's not philosophy. You name it conveniently philosophy. You name it, but the whole thing is irrelevant.
In the absence of any data that support the notion John was conscious of any such philosophical framework, the most straightforward
is not a philosophical framework. The fact that the Logos was referred to as Theos is just a fact, it's just a text.
way to translate the end of John 1:1 would be, and the Word was deity.
Yeah, that would be exactly how to corrupt John 1:1.